Yeah, so through my other related research, I was trying to find that information. So I was hoping there'd be some big review paper out there, a big meta-analysis that would just have put all the data together and summarized it nicely for a dummy like myself. And what I realized is that no one had really done that. So if you look back through the literature, you will find a couple of examples where, so there's one paper by Sandra Hunter, and then there's another one by Starren from years ago, where they took a small bit of the existing literature and put it together. And it served as just sort of a supplementary point to their larger paper that they were writing. And that was all that I could find in terms of people trying to bring all the literature together on muscle fiber types between men and women. And I wrote a narrative review paper where for me, again, it was a supplementary sort of thing within a larger paper. And I'm like, you know what? Someone needs to really try to do this more formally and properly. So that's what led to my meta-analysis on this, where I just did an absolute deep dive in trying to retrieve any paper, any study I could find that reported muscle fiber type data in both a male cohort and a female cohort within the same study.
Roughly how many papers would that have been?
Oh gosh, off the top of my head, what are we talking here? What was it, 100, 200? It's over 100. I can't even recall off the top of my head.
It is over 100 though, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so my main goal was just to, so I like history and I love finding old papers just buried in the literature and bringing them back to life. So my primary purpose was to get all these resources into at least one place. And then the second purpose was to actually do the analysis and find out if there is a difference. Because it was from these other little mini reviews, it was pretty clear that there was a difference in the sort of proportional area that a certain fiber type takes up, but it wasn't clear whether there was a difference in the proportional representation of different fibers. So they're two slightly different outcomes. What my meta-analysis found was it confirmed that the proportional area measurement is different. Now, these effect sizes aren't huge, but they're about moderate size. So men tend to have more of the type 2. Let me put it this way. More of their muscle cross-sectional area is composed of an area of type 2 muscle fibers, whereas women's muscle tends to be comprised of more of an area of type 1 muscle fibers. And then that measure of sort of proportional representation in terms of numbers also tends to be different in that same direction. So basically, men tend to have a greater area of their muscle comprised of type 2 muscle fibers. When you take the type 2 to type 1 ratio, that becomes significantly different as well. And the whole point of the paper is to say, look, this is another factor that might contribute to some degree between the sex difference in muscle power and muscle strength.
Right.
Do you know, do you recall the percentage? If we looked at fiber number, do you recall what the percentage was of 1 versus 2 in men and women? Was it something like 50-something% men type 2, and maybe women were like a lower 50%, or?
Yeah, it's not a huge difference. So off the top of my head, I'm not going to be able to give it to you. I'd have to pull up the paper really quickly, but we're talking only a difference of, I think it was like 5%,
Okay.
4 or 5%. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure how much it actually contributes to the sex difference in strength and power, but there's definitely enough consistency there to be some small difference between men and women. And
can I just ask a quick question, James? Is there anything that we might see regionally? Like, are we focusing on a specific region of the body? Might it be more prominent in lower extremity? Do we know, or upper extremity, or the?
Yep. So the vast majority of these data, I think it's somewhere like 75% came from vastus lateralis.
Okay, great.
That's just because it's the muscle that's, I guess, easiest
Right.
to biopsy. Full disclosure, I've never actually done a biopsy myself or had one taken of me, but vastus lateralis is the one that people take. And really, when you think about the conclusion of that paper, I would say basically just think of it as specific to vastus lateralis because it takes up so much of that data.